The ward was always hushed after midnight. Penelope Barrett moved between the rows of beds, her footsteps muffled by the rubber soles of her regulation nursing shoes. The air hung thick with the smells of antiseptic, blood, and fear. This field hospital near St. Lo had received a fresh influx of wounded after yesterday's push. Most were sleeping now, aided by morphine or sheer exhaustion. She paused at the bed of a young private who couldn't be more than 19. His face, half wrapped in gauze, was turned toward the canvas wall of the tent. His right arm ended in a thick bandage at the elbow. "Private Jennings," she whispered. "Are you awake?" He turned slowly. His visible eye blinked in the dim light. "Nurse Barrett." She sat on the edge of his cot. "You mentioned wanting to write to your mother." "Yes, but I can't hold a pencil just yet." His gaze shifted to his bandaged stump. Penelope removed a small notebook and pencil from her pocket. "I'll be your hands, then. What would you like to tell her?" This had become her ritual in the 18 months since she'd arrived in Europe. When the ward quieted and the most urgent medical needs were addressed, she'd find those who needed to send words home but couldn't write themselves. Some dictated letters of undying love to sweethearts, others sent reassurances to worried parents, and still others, the ones that broke her heart most completely, asked her to craft cheerful facades that concealed how badly they were wounded. Private Jennings stared at the canvas ceiling. "Dear Mom," he began, his voice cracking slightly. "I'm doing just fine. The doctors here are excellent, and I'm receiving the best care." Penelope wrote carefully, transcribing his words while occasionally helping him find the right phrase when his emotions overwhelmed him. She knew that Mrs. Jennings back in Nebraska would read between these lines, understanding what her son couldn't bring himself to say directly. When they finished, she read it back to him. He nodded, a single tear tracking down his unbandaged cheek. "Thank you, I'll make sure it goes out with tomorrow's mail," she promised, standing to move to the next bed. Before she could leave, his good hand caught her wrist. "Nurse Barrett," he said quietly, "do you write letters for yourself?" The question caught her off guard. "I have no one to write to, Private." She smiled gently. "My parents are gone, and I never had siblings." "No sweetheart waiting back home," he pressed. She shook her head. "The war doesn't leave much room for such things." "That's a shame. You deserve someone to write pretty words to." Penelope patted his hand. "Rest now. That's an order." Outside, she paused to collect herself. August in Normandy was humid, but the night air felt cool against her face. The distant rumble of artillery vibrated through the soles of her feet. Tomorrow would bring more wounded, more dying boys asking her to capture their final thoughts. "Cigarette?" The voice came from the shadows. She turned to see Captain Benjamin Yates leaning against the supply tent, the ember of his cigarette glowing orange in the darkness. "I don't smoke, Captain. You know that." "I do." He stepped into the pale moonlight. Tall and lean, with 3 days' worth of stubble darkening his jaw, he looked like he hadn't slept in twice that time. As the chief surgeon at their field hospital, he probably hadn't. "Another round of letter writing?" he asked, exhaling smoke away from her. "Yes." She tucked her notebook into her pocket. "It helps them, I think." "It helps you too." It wasn't a question. Penelope sighed. "Perhaps." They stood in silence for a moment, listening to the distant thunder of the war that had brought them together in this place. "We're moving again," he said finally. "Orders came through tonight. We're heading east, following the advance." "When?" "Day after tomorrow. Assuming the Germans don't push back." Penelope nodded. Such was the rhythm of their lives now, setting up, treating the wounded, packing up, moving on. The hospital had relocated 6 times since the Normandy landings 8 weeks ago. "You should get some sleep," he said, dropping his cigarette and crushing it under his boot. "Tomorrow will be hell with the preparations." "I will. Soon." She hesitated. "And you?" His smile didn't reach his eyes. "I'll sleep when I'm stateside, Nurse Barrett." She watched him walk away, his shoulders hunched against burdens invisible but crushing. Benjamin Yates had arrived in France on D-Day +2, and something in him had hardened with each passing week. She'd heard rumors about what he'd seen on Omaha Beach. He never spoke of it. Back in her quarters, a small corner of a divided tent that she shared with 3 other nurses, Penelope removed her cap and sat heavily on her cot. Her roommates were all on night duty, leaving her alone with her thoughts. From under her pillow, she withdrew a small bundle of V-mail forms tied with string. Her own letters, never sent. She'd started writing them 3 months ago, after a particularly difficult day when they'd lost 5 men in as many hours. Captain Yates had worked himself to exhaustion, refusing to give up on the last soldier, a boy with shrapnel in his chest who'd begged to see his 21st birthday. He died at 11:58 p.m., 2 minutes shy of turning 21. Afterward, she'd found Benjamin behind the surgical tent, his bloodied hands shaking as he tried to light a cigarette. Without thinking, she'd taken the lighter from him, struck the flame, and held it steady. Their eyes had met over the flickering light, and something had passed between them, something forbidden and fragile and necessary. Nothing had happened that night, nor on any night since. But Penelope had begun writing him letters she would never deliver, pouring out thoughts she could never speak aloud. It was foolish and dangerous. Fraternization between officers and nursing staff was strictly prohibited. But the letters kept her sane when the world around her descended into madness. She untied the string and added a new blank form to the stack. Her pencil hovered over the paper. Dear Benjamin, she stopped, crossed it out. Dear Captain Yates, that wasn't right either. She crumpled the paper and started again. B today I held the hand of a boy while he died. He asked me if it would hurt, and I lied. I told him it would feel like falling asleep. His name was Michael. He had green eyes and freckles across his nose. He was 20 years old. Sometimes I wonder if you and I are the only ones who remember their names, their faces. Sometimes I wonder if remembering is a blessing or a curse. I saw you operating for 12 hours straight today. Your hands never trembled. Your voice never wavered when you called for instruments. But I saw your eyes when you stepped away from the table, when you thought no one was watching. I saw how you carry each loss. I want to tell you that it's not your fault. I want to tell you that you're saving more than you're losing. I want to tell you that in the middle of all this horror, you've become something I look forward to seeing each day, even if we only exchange a few words. But I don't tell you these things. I can't. P. She folded the letter carefully and added it to her bundle, retying the string. Then she slipped it back under her pillow and prepared for sleep, knowing that tomorrow would bring more wounded, more dying, and more words she would write for others but never speak for herself. The move east came sooner than expected. The Germans had retreated faster than Allied command had anticipated, and the field hospital was ordered to follow the advancing troops. By dawn, they were dismantling tents, loading equipment onto trucks, and preparing the most serious cases for transport. Barrett! The head nurse's voice cut through the organized chaos. Captain Yates needs assistance in triage. Go! Penelope hurried across the compound to where a line of ambulances was unloading a final batch of wounded before the hospital's departure. Benjamin stood at the entrance to the triage tent, his sleeves rolled up and a clipboard in hand. His face was a mask of professional detachment, but she saw the exhaustion etched into the lines around his eyes. Nurse Barrett reporting, sir. He glanced up. We've got 12 new arrivals. I need immediate assessment, who can travel and who need surgery before we move. For the next hour, they worked side by side, moving from stretcher to stretcher. Their hands occasionally brushed as they passed instruments or adjusted bandages. Each fleeting contact sent an electric current through Penelope's fingers, but she maintained her professional demeanor. This one's not going to make it to the next stop, Benjamin murmured, kneeling beside a soldier with a severe abdominal wound. The man was unconscious, his breathing shallow. We can't leave him, Penelope whispered. No. Benjamin's voice was firm. We won't. I'll operate now. You assist. They worked quickly, trying to repair what a German mortar had torn apart. Outside, the hospital continued its dismantling, but in this corner, time stood suspended as they fought to save one more life. 2 hours later, the soldier was stabilized enough for transport. As they washed the blood from their hands, Benjamin spoke without looking at her. You're good under pressure, Barrett. So are you, Captain. His eyes finally met hers. Ben, he said quietly. When it's just us, I'd like to be Ben. The simple request, so contrary to military protocol, made her heart stutter. Penny, she replied. My friends call me Penny. A ghost of a smile touched his lips. Are we friends, Nurse Barrett? She looked down at her hands, pink from scrubbing. I'd like to think so, Captain Yates. The moment stretched between them, filled with unspoken possibilities. Then reality intruded in the form of the head nurse's voice calling for final preparations. We should go, Penelope said, drying her hands. Benjamin nodded, the professional mask sliding back into place. See you at the next stop, Nurse Barrett. Yes, sir. She turned to leave. Penny, he said softly, stopping her. Be careful on the road. The journey east was treacherous. Their convoy moved slowly along roads pockmarked by shells and occasionally strayed too close to active combat zones. Twice they had to pull over and seek cover when enemy aircraft appeared overhead. Penelope rode in an ambulance with 3 critical patients and another nurse, Ellen Morris. The cramped quarters and constant jostling made it nearly impossible to provide adequate care, but they did their best, changing 4 bottles that swung like pendulums and adjusting bandages that shifted with every bump. You and Captain Yates seemed rather intense in triage this morning, Ellen remarked as they neared their destination. Penelope kept her eyes on the patient whose pulse she was monitoring. We were trying to save a man's life. Ellen murmured. That's not what I meant. I don't know what you're implying, Penelope replied, her voice carefully neutral. I'm not implying anything. I'm saying there's a certain way he looks at you when he thinks no one notices. Penelope's fingers tightened on her patient's wrist. That's absurd. Is it? Ellen's expression was knowing. Be careful, Penny. The army doesn't look kindly on fraternization. There is no fraternization to look kindly or unkindly upon, Penelope said firmly. Now, would you please check Private Cooper's dressing? I think he's bleeding through again. Ellen complied, but her words hung in the air between them. If she had noticed something between Penelope and Benjamin, others might have as well. The thought was both thrilling and terrifying. Their new location was a partially bombed school building in a small village that had seen fierce fighting only days before. The classrooms became wards, the gymnasium a surgical theater, and the teachers' lounge their quarters. The smell of chalk dust mingled with antiseptic as they set up operations with practiced efficiency. That night, after her shift, Penelope found herself alone in what had once been a classroom. Children's drawings still adorned the walls, incongruously cheerful against the reality of what the room now contained, rows of wounded men on portable cots. She moved among them with her notebook, taking dictation for those who wished to send messages home. One young lieutenant with both legs in casts asked her to write to his fiancée. Tell her I'm coming home, he said, his voice thick with emotion. Tell her to keep planning the wedding. June, like we said. White roses, not red. Penelope wrote his words, adding the flourishes he requested, sealing his hope in an envelope that would cross an ocean to reach a woman waiting in Massachusetts. She was so absorbed in her task that she didn't notice Benjamin enter until he spoke. Still at it, I see. She looked up, startled. They need this. Especially now. He moved to stand beside her, looking down at the sleeping men. I know. It's good, what you do for them. It's little enough. It's everything to them. He ran a hand through his hair, making it stand on end. Can I speak with you outside? The night air was cool, carrying the scent of distant fires and fallen leaves. They walked along what had once been the school playground, now serving as a parking area for ambulances and supply trucks. "I received orders today," Benjamin said after a long silence. Something in his tone made her stomach tighten. "Orders?" "I'm being transferred to a field hospital closer to the front. They need experienced surgeons." He stopped walking and turned to face her. "I leave tomorrow." The news hit her like a physical blow. "Tomorrow?" "But we just arrived here. War doesn't wait for convenient timing, Penny." She wrapped her arms around herself, suddenly cold despite her wool uniform. "How long will you be gone?" "I don't know. Could be weeks. Could be months." He hesitated. "Could be the duration." The thought of not seeing him again made it difficult to breathe. "I see." "No, you don't." His voice was low, urgent. "You don't see at all." "Then tell me what I should see." Benjamin stepped closer. In the moonlight, his face was all sharp angles and shadows. "I requested the transfer." This hurt more than she expected. "You want to leave?" "No." His hand reached for hers, then dropped away. "I need to leave. Being near you every day and not being able to," he broke off, looking away. "It's becoming impossible." Understanding dawned slowly. "Oh. Yes. Oh." A bitter smile touched his lips. "Very eloquent, both of us." "What are you saying, Ben?" He met her gaze directly. "I'm saying that I find myself thinking about you when I should be focusing on surgery. I'm saying that I look for you in every room I enter. I'm saying that in the middle of this godforsaken war, I've made the tactical error of falling in love with a nurse who writes everyone's feelings but her own." The words hung between them, dangerous and beautiful. "You can't," she whispered. "I'm aware of the regulations." "That's not what I meant." She took a deep breath. "You can't leave. Not now." "Penny, I write letters," she blurted out. "To you. Letters I never send. I have dozens of them." His expression changed, surprise giving way to something deeper. "What do they say?" "Things I shouldn't feel. Things I can't say aloud." Slowly, carefully, as if she might break or flee, Benjamin reached out and touched her cheek. His fingers were cool against her skin. "Say them now." Instead, she rose on her tiptoes and pressed her lips to his. For a moment, he remained still, and she feared she'd misunderstood. Then his arms encircled her waist, pulling her against him as he returned her kiss with an intensity that made her dizzy. When they finally broke apart, breathless, he rested his forehead against hers. "That wasn't very proper, Nurse Barrett." "Nothing about this is proper, Captain Yates." A voice called from the direction of the school. "Nurse Barrett. Emergency in Ward C." Reality intruded once more. Penelope stepped back, straightening her uniform. "I have to go." Benjamin nodded. "We'll talk before I leave tomorrow?" "Yes." She started to walk away, then turned back. "Ben? Don't go before we do." His smile was sad. "I'll try." But he was gone when she woke the next morning. Called away before dawn, the head nurse told her. The front had shifted, and casualties were mounting. His surgical skills were needed immediately. He'd left a note, pressed into her hand by a sympathetic orderly. A single line on a scrap of paper. Asterisk write to me. Send them this time. B asterisk she did. Every day for the next 2 weeks, Penelope wrote to Benjamin, pouring out her heart in ways she never had before. She told him about her childhood in Vermont, about the brother she'd lost to influenza in 28, about her decision to become a nurse. She told him about her fears and hopes, about the moments that broke her heart and those that mended it again. And she told him how she felt about him, the growing affection that had taken root during shared surgeries and midnight conversations, the respect that had deepened as she watched him fight to save lives others might have abandoned, the love that had bloomed despite all the reasons it shouldn't. His replies came sporadically, sometimes 2 or 3 arriving at once. His handwriting was cramped and hurried, but his words were thoughtful, revealing a man who observed the world with both precision and compassion. Dearest Penny, today I operated on a German officer captured near Metz. Our boys wanted to let him die. Can't say I blame them. But when I cut into him, his blood was the same color as ours. His heart looked the same under my hands. I saved him. Some of the men won't speak to me now. I keep thinking about something you wrote in your last letter, about finding humanity in small moments. I found it there, in that German's grateful eyes when he woke up. I wonder if he would have done the same for one of our men. I miss your voice. I miss watching you move through the ward, bringing comfort with just your presence. I miss knowing you're near, even when we can't speak. When this is over, when we go home, I want to show you the California coast. My family has a small house near Monterey. You can see whales migrating from the porch in January. I think you'd like it there. Is it madness to plan for after when we're still so deep in it during, yours Ben His letters sustained her through the autumn of 1944 as the Allied forces pushed toward Germany and the hospital followed in their wake. The work remained grueling, but knowing that somewhere ahead of her, Benjamin was reading her words and thinking of her gave Penelope a center to hold onto amid the chaos. In November, his letters stopped. For 2 weeks, she told herself it was just a delay in the mail. Military post was notoriously unreliable, especially as they moved closer to the front. But as November turned to December with no word, fear began to gnaw at her. She approached the administrative officer one evening after dinner. Lieutenant Walsh, I was wondering if you had any information about the 47th Field Hospital. The lieutenant looked up from his paperwork. The 47th? They're somewhere near the Siegfried Line, last I heard. Why do you ask? I have our colleague there. Captain Benjamin Yates. We worked together before his transfer, and I haven't heard from him in several weeks. Lieutenant Walsh's expression changed subtly. I see. I can make some inquiries, Nurse Barrett. Thank you. She turned to leave. Nurse Barrett, he called after her? Prepare yourself for the possibility that no news isn't good news. Not in this war. The next day, she threw herself into her work with renewed intensity, assisting in surgeries until her feet ached and her eyes burned with fatigue. When she finally took a break, the head nurse found her in the supply closet, silently counting bandages. Barrett, you've been on duty for 16 hours. Go rest. I'm fine, That wasn't a suggestion. The older woman's tone softened. There's mail for you. In your quarters. Penelope's heart leaped. Thank you. She hurried to her room, hoping to find Benjamin's familiar handwriting. Instead, there was an official envelope bearing the insignia of the Army Medical Corps. With trembling fingers, she tore it open. Dear Nurse Barrett, I regret to inform you that Captain Benjamin Yates was wounded during an artillery barrage near the German border on November 12, 1944. He has been evacuated to General Hospital No. 18 in Paris for treatment. Captain Yates asked specifically that you be notified of his condition, which is listed as serious but stable. Per his request, I am including the hospital's mailing address. Respectfully Major Thomas Elliott, MD Commanding Officer, 47th Field Hospital wounded, but alive. Penelope sat heavily on her cot, relief and fear warring within her. Serious but stable could mean anything from a clean fracture to life-threatening injuries. The letter offered no details. That night, she wrote the most difficult letter of her life. My dearest Ben, I received word today of your injury. They tell me you're in Paris, that you're stable. I pray this is true. I pray that by the time this reaches you, stable has become recovering and recovering has become well. I don't know if they'll let me visit you. I've requested leave, but with the push toward the Rhine, they need every nurse here. But know that I would come to you if I could, that I would sit beside you and hold your hand and tell you all the things I've been writing. You must get well, Benjamin Yates. You must heal and come back to me, or tell them to send me to you. The letters aren't enough anymore. I need to see your face, to hear your voice, to know that this fragile thing between us can survive more than ink and paper. All my love. Penny. She sent the letter, then wrote to her supervisor in the nursing corps, requesting a transfer to the hospital in Paris. The reply came swiftly, request denied. She was needed where she was. December brought a bitter cold to eastern France and the worst fighting since D-Day as the Germans launched their last major offensive in the Ardennes forest. The Battle of the Bulge, as it would later be called, filled their wards to overflowing. Penelope worked 20-hour shifts, snatching sleep when she could, her hands chapped and bleeding from constant washing in harsh soap. And still, no word from Benjamin. Christmas came and went, marked only by the distribution of Red Cross packages to the wounded. Penelope gave her chocolate bar to a young private from Georgia who cried when he opened it, saying it reminded him of home. On New Year's Eve, as 1944 gave way to 1945, she sat alone in what had once been the school's library, writing letters for soldiers too injured to hold a pen. One in particular, a sergeant with severe burns to his hands and face, asked her to write to his wife. "Tell her I'm coming home," he said, his voice muffled by bandages. "But tell her I'm not the same man who left." "What exactly would you like me to say?" Penelope asked gently. His visible eye filled with tears. "Tell her my face is gone. Tell her I won't be able to hold our baby when it comes in March. Tell her I'll understand if she can't bear to look at me." Penelope set down her pencil. "Sergeant, may I speak frankly?" "Yes, I've written hundreds of letters for men in this war. Letters of love and fear and hope. And I've learned something important." She leaned closer. "The people who love us don't love us for our shells. They love us for what's inside. My wife is young. Beautiful." His voice broke. "I don't want her tied to a monster. You're not a monster. You're a man who served his country bravely. A man who wants to go home to his wife and child." She picked up her pencil again. "Let me help you find the words to tell her that." Together, they composed a letter that acknowledged his injuries without diminishing his worth, that expressed his fears while affirming his love. When she finished reading it back to him, he nodded. "That's good. That sounds like me, not just my wounds." "It is you," she assured him, sealing the envelope. After he dozed off, Penelope remained in the quiet library. Outside, she could hear faint celebrations as the hospital staff marked the new year with what meager supplies they had. She took out a fresh sheet of paper. "Dear Ben, it's 1945 now. They say this will be the year the war ends. I want to believe them. I need to believe them. I haven't heard from you since you were wounded. I tell myself this means you're recovering, that you're busy with your own healing. I tell myself you haven't forgotten me. Some days I believe it. Tonight I helped a burned soldier write to his wife. He was afraid she wouldn't want him anymore, that his scars would make him unlovable. I told him that real love sees beyond such things. I wonder, as I write this, if you're facing similar fears. If that's why you haven't written. If so, know this, there is nothing this war could do to you that would change how I feel. Nothing. I'm still writing letters for dying boys, Ben. But I'm afraid this one is for myself. For this feeling that's dying a little each day without word from you. Please, if you can, let me know you're alive. That's all I ask. Forever yours. Penny. January passed in a blur of cold and casualties. February brought rumors of the war's end, but the fighting continued, and with it, the endless procession of broken bodies through their hospital. In early March, Penelope was summoned to the administrative office. Lieutenant Walsh looked up as she entered. "Nurse Barrett. You have orders." Her heart sank. Another move, another location closer to the diminishing front. "When do we leave?" "Not we. You. He handed her a folder. You're being transferred to General Hospital number 18 in Paris, effective immediately. Transport leaves at 0600 tomorrow. She stared at him, unable to comprehend. Paris? Yes. A hint of a smile crossed his face. Apparently, someone with considerable influence has been requesting your transfer for months. It finally went through. Benjamin, she whispered. Lieutenant Walsh pretended not to hear. You'll need to pack your personal effects tonight. Your replacement arrives in the morning. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. She floated through the rest of her shift in a daze, saying goodbye to patients and colleagues, packing her few belongings. Ellen hugged her tightly. Write to us, she said. And when you see your captain, tell him he'd better be worth all your pining. I haven't been pining, Penelope protested. Ellen laughed. Of course not. You've just been writing mysterious letters every night and looking like someone shot your dog whenever mail call comes without his name. Penelope blushed. Was I that obvious? Only to those of us who know you. Ellen squeezed her hand. Be happy, Penny. God knows we've all seen enough misery to last several lifetimes. The journey to Paris took 2 days, slowed by checkpoints and military convoys moving in the opposite direction. Penelope barely noticed the discomfort, her mind fixed on what awaited her at the end. General Hospital number 18 was housed in what had once been a luxury hotel. Its marble floors and ornate chandeliers seemed incongruous with the rows of hospital beds and medical equipment that now filled its grand ballrooms and dining areas. Penelope reported to the head nurse, a stern-faced woman named Captain Reynolds. Barrett, she said, consulting a clipboard. Yes, you're assigned to Ward 7. Orthopedic cases, mostly amputations, and complex fractures. You'll start tomorrow morning at 0700. Excuse me, Penelope said carefully. I believe I was transferred here specifically to assist with a particular patient. Captain Benjamin Yates. Captain Reynolds frowned. Are you family? No, We served together at the field hospital near St. Lo. I see. Her expression didn't change. Captain Yates is no longer a patient here. The world seemed to tilt beneath Penelope's feet. He's been discharged. In a manner of speaking. Captain Reynolds studied her for a moment, then sighed. He's been moved to the officers' convalescent facility outside the city. His injuries were severe. Multiple surgeries. He'll be there for some time yet. May I have the address? Penelope asked, trying to keep her voice steady. That's highly irregular, Nurse Barrett. Please. It's important. Something in her tone must have conveyed the depth of her feeling, because Captain Reynolds hesitated, then wrote an address on a slip of paper. You'll need to arrange your own transportation. And don't tell anyone I gave you this. Thank you. Penelope clutched the paper like a lifeline. Thank you so much. The next day, after her shift, she borrowed a bicycle from another nurse and pedaled the 8 kilometers to the convalescent home. It was a sprawling estate set amid carefully tended gardens, requisitioned from some French nobleman for the duration of the war. At the gate, a young MP stopped her. ID, please. She handed over her identification card. I'm here to see Captain Benjamin Yates. The guard checked a list. You're not on his approved visitors roster. He doesn't know I'm in Paris. I was just transferred here. I'm sorry, but without prior approval, please, Penelope interrupted. I've come all the way from the front lines to see him. We served together. He? She hesitated, then decided truth was her only option. He's the reason I'm here. He requested my transfer. The guard looked uncertain. Wait here. He disappeared into a small gatehouse. After several minutes, he returned with an older officer. Nurse Barrett, the officer asked. I'm Major Green, the facility administrator. Private Johnson says you're here to see Captain Yates. Yes, sir. Captain Yates hasn't had any visitors since he arrived 3 months ago. He's been difficult. Difficult how, sir? Major Green sighed. Uncooperative with physical therapy. Refusing visitors. Generally making himself and everyone around him miserable. He studied her face. You say he requested your transfer? Yes, sir. We were close at the field hospital. A knowing look crossed the Major's face. I see. Well, perhaps you're exactly what he needs, then. But I should warn you, his injuries are significant. He lost his right leg below the knee, and he has extensive scarring on his right side and face from burns. Penelope absorbed this information with a calm born of 18 months treating the war's worst wounds. I understand, sir. May I see him? Follow me. They walked through manicured gardens where officers in various stages of recovery sat in wheelchairs or moved slowly along paths with crutches and canes. The Major led her to a secluded corner where a solitary figure sat with his back to them, facing a small pond. Captain Yates, Major Green called. You have a visitor. I told you I don't want visitors, came the reply, the familiar voice roughened by what might have been pain or bitterness. I think you'll want to see this one. The Major nodded to Penelope, then turned and walked away. She approached slowly, her heart hammering against her ribs. Ben? He went very still, his shoulders tensing beneath his robe. Penny, he said, without turning. Is that really you? Yes. How? You requested my transfer. It finally came through. He made a sound that might have been a laugh or a sob. That was months ago. Before you were wounded. I know. They told you. Some of it. She moved closer but still couldn't see his face. Why didn't you write to me, Ben? His hands gripped the arms of his wheelchair. I started to. Many times. But I couldn't find the words. You could have used mine. I kept writing to you. I know. I got your letters. His voice broke. I read them until they fell apart. Then why, look at me, Penny, he interrupted, finally turning his wheelchair to face her. The right side of his face was a tapestry of burned scars, pink and shiny, pulling his eye and mouth slightly downward. His right leg ended mid-shin, the empty pant leg neatly pinned up. He was thinner than she remembered, his once vibrant eyes dull with pain and something worse, resignation. Look at what's left of me, he said quietly. This isn't what you signed up for. Penelope studied him, seeing beyond the scars to the man beneath. The same strong jaw on the undamaged side. The same intelligent eyes, even if one was now partially closed by scar tissue. The same hands that had performed miracles in surgery, saved countless lives. She knelt beside his wheelchair, taking those hands in hers. You remember the sergeant with the burns? The one I wrote you about on New Year's Eve. He nodded slowly. I told him that the people who love us don't love us for our shells. They love us for what's inside. She squeezed his hands. I meant it, Ben. Every word. Penny, no, let me finish. I've been writing other people's feelings for so long that I almost forgot how to express my own. But I'm not writing this letter for someone else. I'm writing it for me. For us. She took a deep breath. I love you, Benjamin Yates. Not your leg or your face or any part that can be damaged or lost. I love your mind, your heart, your soul. Those are intact. Tears filled his eyes, tracking down both the smooth and scarred sides of his face. I was afraid, he admitted. Afraid you'd feel obligated. Afraid you'd stay out of pity. Do I strike you as someone who does anything out of obligation or pity? A ghost of his old smile appeared. No. You're the most stubbornly honest person I've ever met. Then believe me when I say I love you. All of you, exactly as you are. Slowly, as if afraid she might vanish if he moved too quickly, Benjamin raised a hand to her cheek. I love you too, Penny. I never stopped, not for a moment. She leaned into his touch. Then why didn't you let me come to you sooner? I needed to fight my own battles first. He glanced down at his missing leg. I'm still fighting some of them. But I'm ready now. Ready to stop hiding. Penelope rose and moved behind his wheelchair. Then let's go for a walk. There's a beautiful garden here, and you've been sitting in this corner long enough. As she pushed him along the paths, Benjamin reached back and caught her hand. Will you write one more letter for me? Of course. I want to write to your parents. To ask for their blessing. She stopped pushing. My parents. He twisted in the chair to look up at her. Yes. I'd like to do this properly. Ben, my parents are gone. I told you that. I know. But I thought, perhaps there's someone else? Someone whose blessing would matter to you. Penelope smiled, leaning down to kiss him softly. The only blessing I need is yours. You have it. Always. He kissed her again, more deeply this time, heedless of the other recovering officers nearby. When they broke apart, his eyes had regained some of their former spark. What happens now? Now? Now we heal. Together. She resumed pushing his wheelchair along the sun-dappled path. And when the war ends, when we go home, you'll show me the California coast. Your family's house near Monterey. We'll watch whales migrating from the porch in January. You remembered. I remember everything you've ever written to me. As they moved through the garden, Benjamin began pointing out different flowers, naming them in both English and Latin. Penelope listened, her heart full. This was not the ending she had imagined when she'd started writing letters for dying soldiers. But it was, perhaps, the beginning she had always hoped to find. Later, as twilight settled over Paris, they sat together by the pond where she had first found him. Benjamin had fallen silent, his gaze fixed on the darkening water. What are you thinking? She asked. About all the letters you wrote for others. All the last words you captured. He turned to look at her. You've been the voice for so many endings, Penny. I want to be the voice for our beginning. From his pocket, he withdrew a small notebook and pencil, the same kind she had used for countless soldiers' missives. He opened to a blank page and began to write. Dear future, he read aloud as he wrote, today I met the woman I'm going to marry.